Welcome to Hellcat's King of the Hill podcast. Just imagine for a second having a world-class symphony orchestra, a ferocious heavy metal band, and like a platinum-selling club producer all just locked inside your computer.
Right, all of them just sitting in a studio waiting for you to type a single sentence.
Exactly. Today, the physical limitations of making music, the blister fingers of a guitarist, the lung capacity of a lead singer, the literal muscle memory of a drummer, they're dead. We are stepping into a realm where the only limitation is human imagination.
It really is a whole new world.
It is. And our mission for this deep dive today is to review the top 3 winning tracks from the latest AI music community competition. We're counting down in reverse order, starting from the 3rd place winner all the way to the ultimate king of the hill, looking at exactly how these creators engineered their masterpieces.
And, the philosophical shift in how this art is being made demands a deep, profound respect. Because these are not randomly generated, just push a button and pray songs.
No, definitely not.
The human creators behind these tracks, they're operating much more like visionary movie directors. They use highly specific, incredibly technical text cues to essentially puppeteer the AI's neural network. So through language alone, they are building these atmospheric, psychedelic, and profoundly creative soundscapes.
Right, they aren't playing instruments.
Exactly. They're navigating an ocean of data to find the perfect acoustic expression of an idea.
And that level of control is what makes this countdown so fascinating. So let's just jump right into it. Coming in at 3rd place, with a score of 76.6 out of 100, we have a track called We Own the Dark by Inkborn.
Oh, Inkborn delivered an absolute masterclass in structural emotional progression here. The foundation of this track relies on a prompt style labeled dark melodic tech house, or emotional rap house.
Sounds intense.
It is, but the genius lies in Inkborn's strict adherence to a very specific architectural rule, which is setting the tempo to exactly 124 beats per minute.
Why that specific number?
Well, to understand why this matters, we have to look at how AI models are trained. The datasets for electronic music are overwhelmingly saturated with 124 BPM tracks. It is like the classic pace for the genre.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so by anchoring the prompt exactly there, Inkborn gives the AI immense mathematical confidence. It allows the model to focus its processing power entirely on driving what we call a night drive aesthetic, rather than, struggling to render complex or unusual timing.
Okay, let's unpack this. I can't say ... Okay, let's unpack this, because the prompt Inkborn used isn't just about picking a reliable tempo. It is a highly specific map of a psychological journey.
It really is.
The lyrics start in a place of total emotional collapse and eventually evolve into this undeniable strength. Like, the track opens with the lines, "The city sleeps, but we don't. Tonight, we own the dark." And Inkborn didn't just let the AI guess how to sing that.
No, they were incredibly deliberate.
Right. The creator specifically directed the vocal evolution. The prompt mandates a spoken dark intro, which then transitions mechanically into an emotional rap with controlled pain in the first verse.
So the human creator is literally dictating the emotional temperature of the performance, second by second. As the song builds, the prompt demands that the second verse shifts into a hard rap, with a sharper flow, a faster cadence, and palpable anger.
It's so visceral.
It is, but the technical brilliance really shines in the microscopic details. The prompt specifically asks for chopped breath accents and heavier bass pressure.
Chopped breath accents.
Yeah, by forcing the AI to render chopped breath accents, Inkborn grounds the digital voice in physical reality. It mimics the exertion of a human lung gasping for air, which subconsciously triggers empathy in the listener.
Oh, wow. It grounds the digital and the physical. And the production cues are just as meticulously mapped out. Inkborn demanded reverse string swells, class plucks, and a deep rolling sidechain bass.
That sidechain bass is such a crucial mechanic in club music.
Yeah, it's that pumping effect where the bass volume physically ducks out of the way every time the kick drum hits, right?
Exactly. And in AI generation terms, forcing the model to render a sidechain effect means the AI has to mathematically carve out frequency space. It creates this massive, breathing, trance-like club environment.
And that breathing sonic environment perfectly mirrors the narrative arc of the lyrics. Like, there's this one lyric I have to highlight because it encapsulates the entire theme of finding salvation in the beat itself. That lyric goes, "When the bass comes back to life, I remember my name."
That's a great line.
It is just this beautiful realization that the physical pressure of a 124 BPM club track is the cure for the emotional collapse we heard in that spoken intro.
Right. The narrator isn't finding themselves in another person or in a quiet moment of reflection. They are finding their identity in the architecture of the sound.
I love that. You know, this prompt is less like a musical suggestion and more like a psychological movie script. You are giving the AI stage directions for the singer's soul. But actually, I have to ask you about the constraints Inkborn used at the very end of this prompt.
The negative prompts.
Yeah, they utilized some really strict negative prompts. They specifically demanded no female vocals, no saxophone, no happy pop, no fest. My question is, how does a creator's use of negative prompts actually help focus the AI's creative engine? Like, why not just describe what you want instead of what you don't want?
To understand that, we have to look at how AI actually hears prompts. Think of it as a vast, multi-dimensional map of every sound ever recorded, what AI engineers call the latent space.
Okay, the latent space.
Right. The AI has ingested every genre, every instrument, every mood imaginable. So if you just ask for house music, the AI might throw in a bright saxophone solo because statistically saxophones appear in thousands of upbeat house tracks.
That makes sense.
By using negative prompts, the human creator is essentially carving away the marble. They are putting up guardrails. By explicitly banning happy pop, saxophone, and fest, which is producer shorthand for massive stadium-sized festival reverb, they are trapping the AI in a specific, darker emotional room in that latent space.
So they're locking it in.
Exactly. They are mathematically refusing to let the generation algorithm escape into upbeat cliches.
Wow. So we've just seen what happens when a creator acts as a strict architect, building walls and guardrails around the AI to maintain a specific genre's rules. But what happens when a creator decides to break the architectural rules entirely and introduce structural chaos?
Well, that brings us perfectly to our next track.
Yes, it does.
Because if the third place track was about building within strict boundaries, the second place track achieves its emotional devastation by actively subverting a traditional genre from the inside out.
Coming in at second place with a massive score of 92.4 out of 100 is Chains by I Am the Evil Twin.
This one, it's a devastating, stripped-down confessional. The creator's prompt foundation starts with a somber country ballad crafted in absolute minimalism. We are talking about a lone, down-tuned acoustic guitar in a minor key outlining slow, sparse chord changes with mournful fingerpicking.
Very Johnny Cash.
Exactly. That is a very traditional, deeply grounded American musical form. Standard country music almost universally relies on a very steady, predictable 44-time signature. It is literally designed to feel like walking. But the twist is, the creator actively injects polyrhythmic tribal drums into this acoustic space.
Which feels entirely destabilizing.
It creates mathematical dissonance for the AI to resolve. Polyrhythms, where you have multiple conflicting rhythms playing at the exact same time, force the listener's brain to constantly recalculate where the downbeat is.
It's dizzying.
Yeah, it takes that front porch country confession and weaves a primal, subtly psychedelic undercurrent beneath it. It turns a folk song into a fever dream.
Here's where it gets really interesting, the vocal direction. The prompt demanded a breathy, basso voice that wavers with horse cracks. And the narrative that voice is carrying is incredibly heavy. It is a father confessing his lifetime of mistakes to his young son, desperately trying to break these destructive cycles of generational trauma.
The lyricism is incredibly potent here. The father is looking at himself and calls his reflection a monument to roads I turned to dust.
Oh man, that line gives me chills every single time. A monument to roads I turned to dust. And then it builds to this dissonant marching climax driven by those tribal drums, where the father is basically begging his son to walk away from his legacy.
Yeah.
He says, I bleed these chains so you don't wear them, son. March through the fire I ignited. Step aside from me. Ignite your own.
It is a brilliant story about recognizing the poison in your own veins and trying to stop it from flowing into the next generation. The bridge uses those tribal drums to escalate into a literal march, layering the acoustic guitars into harsh dissonance as the father's warning reaches its absolute peak.
But I want to propose a pushback on our reaction to this. Yeah, because we are talking about this as if there's a real living father in a recording booth crying his eyes out. We hear this devastating track and we feel the physical toll of aging and regret in the singer's vocal cords. We literally hear the voice break.
Sure.
But the AI isn't feeling regret. It has no generational trauma. mathematically simulating a wavering voice because the human creator forced it into an emotional, uncanny valley with the phrase horse cracks. It's just executing an algorithm based on the acoustic properties of a human nervous breakdown.
I mean, that tension between math and emotion is the defining debate of this new era of music. Does the origin of the emotion matter if the impact on the listener's nervous system is real?
That's the big question.
Right. The AI absolutely feels nothing. But the human creator felt something profound when they wrote those lyrics. Consider the line, 45 in chains I forged in crooked quiet hours. A human being wrote that imagery. A human being decided that the vocal performance needed to sound broken, exhausted, and hoarse to properly convey the weight of those words. The AI is simply the most advanced synthesizer ever created, synthesizing not just pitch and rhythm, but the intricate acoustic markers of human empathy.
That reframes it perfectly. The AI is the instrument, but the heartbreak driving it is entirely human. Which brings us to the ultimate collision.
The big one.
Yeah, if Chains prove the brilliance of blending two clashing styles, country and tribal drums, the first place track takes the concept of genre collision and absolutely shatters the paradigm with it.
We have finally arrived at the king of the hill. First place, scoring an incredible 94.8 out of 100, is Quédate Conmigo by Darth, Lobster, and Madcat.
This track is it's a behemoth.
It really is. It is a boundary-pushing prompt that forces the AI to reconcile three wildly disparate, culturally distinct genres. First, you have Future Garage. This brings a dark, rolling, heavily syncopated bass line rooted in the UK underground dance scene. Second, the creators injects the aggressive, distorted edge of Latin nu metal, introducing heavy, drop-tuned guitars. And finally, they wrap this entire structure in the hypnotic, fast-paced triplet rhythm of tribal Guarachero.
Just mechanically, combining those three sounds like a polyrhythmic nightmare.
It should be a total disaster. Future Garage relies on a deeply swung two-step rhythm, while tribal Guarachero is defined by intense, relentless 34 triplet swings.
So they don't naturally fit at all.
Not even a little. Fusing those two dance rhythms with straight, aggressive metal guitars forces the AI generation model to aggressively layer and mask frequencies just to keep the track from collapsing into pure noise.
Wow.
The result is this wild, inherently psychedelic blending of global underground dance music and heavy metal. You have massive sub-bass, aggressive guitar tones, and relentless tribal rhythms constantly pushing the momentum forward into absolute chaos.
But it doesn't feel like a musical riot, and that is entirely because of the lyrics. This is the massive juxtaposition that won Darth, Lobster, and Madcat the title.
The contrast is unbelievable.
Right. Despite the aggressive, futuristic, heavily distorted tribal production, the lyrics are a pure, earthy, incredibly tender, romantic Spanish poem.
Yeah.
The narrator is simply looking at the world and seeing the beauty of their loved one in everything around them.
The imagery is so grounded and delicate. The lyrics say, Te vi en la fruta encendida, mango dulce bajo el sol. I saw you in the bright fruit, a sweet mango under the sun.
Si los Andes miran alto, yo comprendo tu valor.
If the Andes look high, I understand your worth.
Beautiful.
It's like serving a delicate Michelin star romantic dessert right in the middle of a heavy metal mosh pit. My theory on why this one is that it actively tricks the brain. There is so much sensory overload happening in the instrumental track, the nu metal guitars, the future garage bass, that the delicate romantic vocal becomes the only life raft the listener's ear can hold on to. Is that what is happening mathematically here? So what does this all mean?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a fundamental truth about human auditory perception and acoustic masking. Our brains are hardwired to notice extreme contrast, like light and dark.
Exactly. If you put a sweet romantic poem over a soft acoustic guitar, it's lovely, but it blends in. The brain processes it as expected data. Darth, Lobster, and Madcat understood that extreme musical dissonance creates a hostile sonic environment.
So the vocals stand out more.
Exactly. When that pure, romantic Spanish lyricism cuts through the aggressive, distorted backdrop, it feels radically fragile. The sensory contrast forces you to pay absolute attention to the tenderness of the words because they are so radically out of place.
That is so clever.
The vocal isn't just a melody, it becomes a beacon surviving a storm of future garage and nu metal.
Mi corazón aprendió tu belleza en cada lugar. My heart learned your beauty in every place. And they place that sweet, vulnerable sentiment over a driving, tribal Guarachero beat. It is a staggering display of creativity that completely redefines what you can get away with in a single track without losing the listener.
It really is. And, this deep dive into these 3 tracks leaves us with a truly provocative reality to consider.
What's that?
Well, we've seen how AI can map our existing musical rules, mimic our acoustic markers of trauma, and blend culturally disparate genres. But what happens in the very near future when AI stops just mimicking our past emotional states and starts generating entirely new ones?
Oh, that's wow.
Right. What happens when these visionary creators use latent space to discover synthetic emotions? Feelings that blend heartbreak, euphoria, and aggression in mathematical ratios the human nervous system has never actually experienced before. This deep dive shows us that the future of music might not just be about mastering an instrument. It's about having the sheer imagination to dream up the impossible, like blending Latin nu metal with poetry about sweet mangoes and using AI as the brush to paint that wild vision.
Thank you for listening to Hellcat's King of the Hill podcast. Make sure to check the description to hear the full tracks and join the server if you want to play in King of the Hill.